You're listening to the Sans Pants Network.
Home of comedy,
Culture.
Adventures.
and ghosts.
This is Newsfighters,
Book Club.
where we fight the news so you don't have to.
With Dylan Behan.
Yes, g'day everyone. Welcome to this special quick turnaround debate recap episode of Newsfighters for Monday, the 9th of May, 2022. Of course, last night was the second leaders debate on Channel 9, and what a cluster show it was. I'll tell you what though, the promos certainly hyped it up.
Who scores the power? Tonight on 9.
Yes, no, sorry, that was actually the promo for Lego Masters. Here was the promo for the actual debate.
Tonight, the live election showdown. The issues that really matter to you.
Yes, the issues that really mattered to you, provided the only issue that matters to you is people talking over each other all the time.
You only want to get rid of the better off overall test. No, that's not your party with your tick off. You've been telling this lie for party when it comes to energy and climate.
I think we're getting more questions between Excuse me, I think we're getting more questions between the two of you than our panel.
Yes, Channel 9 also promised that
Nothing is off limits.
yes, and one topic that definitely wasn't off limit was lettuce prices once again. Of course, last week on the show, it was lettuce week.
How long are they going to be confronted with lettuce at $5?
How can you make a lettuce cheaper?
One lettuce alone would be 2% of that paycheck.
An iceberg lettuce, $5.50.
You can't necessarily change the price of a lettuce.
And this week, the very first question, of course, was once again about lettuce prices.
Now, we know right around the country, households are of course concerned about forking out to feed their families, how much the groceries are costing in their baskets every day. What can you do to actually reduce the cost of lettuce? Mr. Morrison, lettuce costs $5, we know that. How can you actually reduce that cost?
I'm joking, of course. The whole lettuce obsession at the moment is emblematic of just general cost of living pressures. And one of the greatest cost of living pressures facing families at the moment is petrol prices, something Scott Morrison said he wanted to put back up again.
Well, one of the things that can make a difference to ease the cost of living pressures is halving the fuel excise. And that's helped businesses, that's helped a lot of families. Prime Minister, will you keep that help coming beyond September?
No, that's not what we're proposing to do.
Geez, thanks, ScoMo. That's a big help. No, he did actually have one kind of weird answer for what to do when petrol prices go up again, though.
So does that mean, though, that as we see interest rates set to rise, inflation set to rise, that all of us will be paying full price for fuel?
Once we get to the end of that 6-month period, then we will continue, of course, to provide those cheaper medicines.
Yes, cheaper medicines is Scott Morrison's idea for how to bring petrol prices down. I'll just fill my car up with Benadryl. Thanks, ScoMo. That, of course, was a great example of something Scott Morrison actually does well, which is not answering questions. Something Anthony Albanese actually has to work a bit harder on after these last few weeks.
What's the national unemployment rate?
National unemployment rate at the moment is, I think it's 5.4. Sorry.
Caught short on detail again.
What are the 6 points?
The 6 points are what we will do in terms of was outlined by Bill Shorten.
Bad form from Albo there. Look at him trying to answer questions he doesn't know. You got to do what Scott Morrison does and just say something completely different, like he did many times throughout the debate last night.
Scott Morrison, you say that people know you, and they clearly do. So why don't they trust you?
It's been a tough 3 years, particularly the last 2 years.
Mr. Morrison, you mentioned the $886 billion Commonwealth debt a little earlier. How long is it going to take young Australians to pay that back?
They will be in work.
Will Australians continue to have access to the sports that they love on free-to-air TV if you are in power, Prime Minister?
Well, we're both promising a review on that issue.
More than a quarter of the voters out there are undecided. I mean, you've been campaigning for 4 weeks. Why haven't you convinced them, Scott Morrison, that you are the one to be re-elected?
Well, you're exactly right that there is a choice. Elections are a choice.
But they're not thrilled with either of you.
Between not whether you like someone or don't like someone.
Yes, democracy is not a popularity contest. You just vote for who you don't like. That's generally how democracy works, right? Vote for who you hate. Anyways, David Crowe from the Sydney Morning Herald also had this kind of leading question towards Scott Morrison that I quite enjoyed. Check it out.
Mr. Morrison, have you seen any corruption on your side of politics in your time? And if so, what did you do about it?
No, I haven't.
Never? No wrongdoing?
No.
Never happened in the Liberal Party at all?
I haven't seen that, no.
Wow, I haven't seen someone masterfully tease out such a clearly incriminating yet leading question like that since TV's Columbo.
Oh, one more thing, sir. We got something else on the gun. Did I mention that? Before I talked to him, were you really playing chess the other night? Yes, sir, but you did kill Claire Daly, didn't you, sir?
For me, the highlight of the debate was probably when the candidates got to ask each other questions. And check out how Anthony Albanese set up Scott Morrison here with this amazing question that caused ScoMo to kick a bit of an own goal here. Check it out.
Should all Australian workers be paid at least the minimum wage?
Well, it depends if they're running a business or not. I mean, if you're running a business, I can tell you who doesn't get the minimum wage necessarily. Small business owners when the money's not coming in the door.
That's not the question, Scott.
No, I'm sorry.
There are a whole lot of people out there who are working in the gig economy, and you're the Prime Minister of Australia, so they're not workers.
They're working they're working for themselves. That's why they do it.
Your Uber driver is not a small business person. There's someone trying to get by. There's someone who's trying to get by.
And they've got an opportunity to do just that, provided by a new economy business that is allowing them to take charge of their own life.
Gotta love Scott Morrison's thinking here. People who are working for below the minimum wage as independent contractors are taking control of their own lives. Why, those people I see out collecting cans, they're big entrepreneurs. The issue of China and the Solomon Islands came up, and Chris Uhlmann accused Labor of being soft on China.
The sale of the Port of Darwin at the time,
confidence in the Labor Party
Labor's shadow
that it will stand up to
minister.
China when some of the loudest voices in the country on being pro-Beijing come from inside your party? Some
Your
of
deputy leader,
your elders.
Well, that's an outrageous slur.
He runs his speeches past the Chinese government.
Labor has always been good on national security. I tell you who Australia turned to in World War II, in our darkest hour, John Curtin.
Yes, gotta love Anthony Albanese there being super topical and on fleek for the Zoomers with all those John Curtin references. Now, I don't know why the media keeps saying that Labor will be bad for us on China when it's Scott Morrison who stuffed up our relationship with China to begin with by repeating Trump's talking points, calling for an inquiry into COVID-19.
Prime Minister Scott Morrison used his address to the G20 summit to once again call for a thorough investigation into the origins of COVID-19.
Deborah Knight from 2GB Radio had a great question for Scott Morrison. Why don't you resign?
In the event of a hung parliament, will you put the interests of your party above your own interests and resign as leader if that's what it takes to form government?
Well, what I'm advocating is that votes for independence, and particularly those you refer to at this election, is a recipe for chaos.
But if that's what it takes for the hung parliament...
And that's why, in the course of an election, which is where we are right now, I'm urging strongly against such a vote, because you can't vote for someone who won't tell you how they will vote.
Yes, but Labor doesn't seem to be telling anyone their policies, and they're ahead in the polls. And also, Barnaby Joyce and the Nationals got all sorts of sweeteners for allowing net zero, and nobody knows what they are.
But Barnaby Joyce has refused to say what he's actually achieved in these negotiations and what he's extracted from the Prime Minister in exchange for his party's support.
The Nationals say they've secured all sorts of concessions, but won't give any details.
Because it's cabinet incompetent.
Deborah Knight also made the best argument for why nobody should vote for Scott Morrison.
In the result of a hung parliament, though, voters need to know if they vote for you, will they get Prime Minister Dutton?
Wow, Deborah Knight's got an interesting hypothetical there. Just imagine if the Teal Independents hold the balance of power and it's a Liberal minority government and they force Scott Morrison to resign and Josh Frydenberg has lost his seat to a Teal Independent, and then we wind up with Prime Minister Peter Dutton for 3 years. I think the population of New Zealand will probably double and real estate in Sydney's inner west will suddenly become very cheap. Anyways, moving on to the closing statements, and Scott Morrison said the blindingly obvious.
Well, thank you, and thank you for your attention tonight. This election is a choice.
Between two men who constantly talk over the top of each other. No, Morrison's closing pitch was kind of along the lines of, you hate me, but you know me.
We're a known quantity, and at a time of great uncertainty and great risk, now is not time to risk things on the unknown. Labor have no plan. They are unknown and a risk. A small target is always a big risk. You know what we've achieved together, and we can keep achieving that.
Yes, we can keep achieving that. Whatever that is. What did we achieve? A complete lack of accountability and responsibility and leadership? We can keep achieving 3 more years of that. Meanwhile, Anthony Albanese's small target got so small that he didn't even try and differentiate himself from the white, middle-aged Sydney rugby league fan that Scott Morrison is.
I came out of the womb a Labor voter, and with 3 great faiths. I was raised by my late mum, who I pay tribute to today. I came out with 3 great faiths: the Labor Party, the Catholic Church and the South Sydney Rugby League Football Club.
In his closing statement, Anthony Albanese tried to make it sound like an urgent priority that Labor wins the election.
Childcare costs are spiralling right now. Aged care is in crisis right now. Work has never been more insecure than it is right now. Climate change is an opportunity, not just a challenge right now.
Now, Albanese's been accused of plagiarising the movie The American President before, but I didn't think he'd plagiarise a song by Akon.
Childcare costs are spiralling. Aged care is in crisis. Climate change is an opportunity.
But it wasn't all doom and gloom. Albanese also tried to leave us on a positive message.
And we can do so much better than we're doing right now.
Yeah, just imagine if the leader was Tanya Plibersek or Penny Wong. You'd be doing a lot better. Anyways, now on to who won the debate. But it turns out that was also up for debate, because Channel 9 first of all said Scott Morrison won.
And this is your verdict. A win for Scott Morrison, 52% declaring him as the overall winner. 48% chose Anthony Albanese.
Which of course led to all of the Peter Costello employees around the panel exclaiming, "Good job, ScoMo."
It gives us a bit of an impression. We know obviously Scott Morrison is more experienced in these kinds of formats. Deb, is that how you saw it?
He's a skilled communicator, and we know that. And I think on the face of it, his conviction comes through very strongly, and he can prosecute an argument with great skill, and he did that tonight. And Anthony Albanese, he looks rattled at times.
Scott Morrison is a powerful performer. I think on some things, Anthony Albanese has a halting kind of presentation which may put people off.
But I think in terms of the skill as an orator and as a debater, I think Scott Morrison has that superiority over Anthony Albanese.
But then, just like a bad award night ceremony, it turns out the result was wrong. And the viewers had actually picked Anthony Albanese as the winner.
I'm just getting in my ear now. We've had up to 30,000 votes that have just come in on who won the debate tonight. And in fact, it's shifted. So now Anthony Albanese is sitting on 51% and Scott Morrison on 49%.
Which led the Channel 9 employees to be like, oh yeah, he was much better. Now I remember.
The debate, in fact, in the room felt to me like it was reasonably even.
Anthony Albanese is now performing better than we saw earlier in the campaign.
He was well prepared tonight and it showed.
And then, of course, more votes came in and it was tied.
He's now a dead heat. We have 50-50.
Oh, it is just like election day.
Anyway, so in conclusion, the 60 Minutes debate was meant to go for 90 minutes and only went for 75. And the real winner was anybody who didn't watch any of the debate. Now, when the Australian people go to the polls in 2 weeks and we hear their voice, we can only hope it doesn't sound like this.
Okay, I think we're getting more questions around this. Excuse me, I think we're...
Alrighty, everyone, that's Newsfighters for today. Thanks for listening to this very quick debate recap of the second Leaders debate. The third and final Leaders debate is meant to be on Wednesday night. We'll see if I have the energy to recap that one and stay up late on Wednesday and do that. In the meantime, don't forget you can follow us on social media, on Twitter and Instagram at NewsFightersPod. And if you want to support the show, we're on Patreon, or you can buy me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/Newsfighters. Anyways, keep fighting and bye for now.
This is Newsfighters, where we fight the news so you don't have to.
Your party with your tick off. You've been telling this lie.